Hey, it's Todd Ault. It's April 5th. This is the 44th episode of Risk On. I'm live in Costa Rica. Jason, you're live in Las Vegas, Nevada. You're king of baseball betting. Last night we lost a heartbreaker with a 3-run home run. I happen to be an Angels fan, but I know we had money on the White Sox, dude. How you feeling?
Yeah, I was a little bit disappointed because the White Sox fought back twice, and they just couldn't get over the hump. They tied it up twice. La Russa, the Hall of Fame manager, made 2 pitching changes, both times to face the left-handed hitter Jared Walsh, and Walsh was challenged with a fastball both times, and he pooped all over those fastballs and took them over the fence for home runs, and that cost us the game.
Hey, big move on the Dow today. Obviously, people were happy with economic numbers on Friday. I had a pretty good Easter. I'm going to tell you a story about how dangerous what's wrong with me? How dangerous it could be to ride an ATV in the rainforest. Jason, how was your Easter?
My Easter was great. I spent the entire day and night at Crypto Joe's. We had Easter dinner, and it was a great selection of beautiful food. We had ham. We had green bean casserole, sweet potato casserole. I mean, an array of desserts. We had these. What are they called? Ganesh? Dude, those things are dangerous. I could have ate probably 5 pounds of those. It was great.
Hey, we appreciate everyone being understanding on our episode on Thursday, as I did that show live from a shuttle bus, a taxi, a private shuttle, as I was on my way to the hotel. We want to deliver for you. We admit that Thursday was a little challenging, but hey, we're having fun here. Jason, why don't we cover the numbers of the market, because we had a screaming day today.
Yeah, the markets were really up today. The market ripped because of the job numbers, non-farm payroll. Because Friday was a holiday, the numbers didn't get released. Well, the market wasn't open, but the consensus for non-farm payroll was 658,000. But the actual came in 916,000 non-farm payroll jobs added, and the unemployment rate ticked down 0.2% to 6%. That seemed to be a great psychological number. The markets really gained large. The Dow Jones was up 372 to 33,525, and the NASDAQ was up 225 points to 13,705, and the S&P stays strong over 4,000. This is an epic run for the S&P, plus 57 points today. Bitcoin, when I went on air, was over 59,000, and Ethereum has marched upward. Ethereum strong, holding 2,000 with ease, 2108. Oil dropped $2.70 a barrel down to 58.75. Gold was flat today, 17.29. Silver was about flat, 24.89. Copper is $4.14. And I believe it takes 22 pounds of copper for every EV vehicle. Don't quote me on that. I did read that somewhere. That's pretty interesting.
Hey, Jason, for full disclosure, as you know, over the weekend, I sold Ethereum over $2,147, I believe. I actually backed off the Ethereum that had rallied from 1,800, but there seems to be a little bit of a catch-up. What do you make on Ethereum's move here?
You know, it's usually been around 30 to 1. But now it's 59. Well, let's see. We've got roughly 59,000.
Pretty close.
Yeah, it's pretty close. Yeah, so
yeah,
it's looking very strong.
What do you make of the 30 to 1?
Yeah, it's 28 to 1. It's just something that I've been following. Like the gold to silver ratio is another thing I follow. It's been around 65 to 70 for 65 to 70 ounces of silver to equal 1 ounce of gold. I mean, it's not really a corollary substance for, at least for the most part. Obviously, Bitcoin and Ethereum's only been in play for, 10 years or so, where gold and silver, this ratio has been around for thousands of years. I don't know. It's just something I like to look at. That's all.
Hey, special thanks to Devon Wright for being out in the crowd here on our chat, along with my mom. Hey, Mom. And I see Caesar out there, and MIPNK. I don't know how to pronounce that, MIPNK. But Devon, thank you for being out there. And Mom, thanks for tuning in. It's always fun when my mom's on the show. My mom's probably still learning how to use social media, but I love that she's on the show. And Mom, we're doing fine here down in Costa Rica. We'll be back on Thursday. Devon, thanks again, and I hope everyone had a happy Easter. Jason, is there any individual stocks you want to cover before we get into some of the other topics?
Well, I think the first one we should cover, because they finally took your advice, is GameStop, GME. So let's look at that, if you don't mind, Brett. Pull that up on the
That's $1 billion, man. $1 billion.
Nick, I'm sorry. You got that for us? Hey, thank you. All right, so GameStop, here we are, down about 2.35% today. I'm looking at the one-day chart. The news was kind of expected because they talked about it during the earnings report and the guidance, but it looks like Jefferies is coming out with doing the offering for GameStop. It's actually an at-the-market offering, up to 3.5 million shares and up to $1 billion. Is that what you saw, Todd?
Yeah, so they were pretty clear it was not going to exceed. They were pretty clear it was not going to exceed 3.5 million shares, but it could be up to $1 billion. So the way I read it is they won't sell more than 3.5 million shares in total when they raise that up to $1 billion for the ATM. Jefferies is the underwriter. This will be an at-the-market transaction, and 3.5 million shares is something they could do with theoretically in one day. So the market's probably going to yawn on that one and probably be pretty happy that they did it.
Yeah.
Listen, I have mixed emotions about this. I've used ATMs to raise a lot of money. I'm a big believer in them. They're the most efficient way of raising capital over time. They're not efficient fast, meaning you get it done quickly. Although you saw Tesla do $10 billion, two $5 billion deals of ATMs. The underwriting cost is very inexpensive, and you got to think the cost of capital is so low. Now, I know shareholders don't like them because they think the company's competing against the individual shareholders. However, when you don't have to issue warrants, when you don't have to issue a big discount, when you don't have to do a pipe, when you take it off the shelf, I really wish people would wake up about this. Shareholders understand that it is a big deal, and it is very, very helpful to be able to do an ATM. Frankly, I still think that GameStop blew it. They could have done an ATM for the last 3 months. Frankly, it makes no sense to me, but who am I? It's not up to me. Hey, those of you who are just tuning in, my name is Todd Ault. I'm calling in from Costa Rica. This is our show, Risk On. We talk about all kinds of risk. My partner, Jason Bartholomew, is back in the studio with Nick, our director, Brett, our director, Josh, who's obviously calls in virtually. He's our producer, and Skyla, our assistant producers there. I'm in Costa Rica, but we want to continue to do the show every day that we can, Monday through Friday, right after the market closes. We may have a little bit of a delay on Thursday, but we love doing the show and covering what we're covering. Let's continue with the stocks, Jason.
Yeah, I would have liked them to do the ATM before the earnings, but if you look at it, today was low volume, 13 million in volume. The average 3-month daily volume is 44 million. The float's 55 million. This is just a blip on the screen, man. Like, this will be done quickly, like you said. It'll be like pulling a Band-Aid off. Like, I mean, at least
if
they
do it though, as somebody in the chat points out, the third, who we know him as, that's 3.5 million shares for $1 billion at 285. Do they know something we don't know? Is the stock going to 285? Maybe it is. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's 100. That's 100 points from here, and I'd love to understand that justification.
Yeah, I mean, if they do it maybe they have something in the pipe. I mean, we don't know, but if they were able to do it at an average of 175 at 3.5 million, that's still like 600 plus million. So that's what
I was happy to see. I was happy to see POWW, one of our biggest holdings, POW. That made a nice move today. What stocks do you want to cover right now, Jason?
Well, that was actually one I was next on my list, as a matter of fact. Nick, if you want to pull it up on the screen, it looks nice and green. Beautiful. Hey, so POW, full disclosure, Todd, you want to walk them through what we have here?
We have about 800,000 shares of POWW. We own it around $5.65 or so cents, give or take 10 or 15 cents in different accounts. For full disclosure, though, we are long the stock. We are, of course, not recommending it. We're telling you what we're doing. This is a show for entertainment purposes. It is your job to do your due diligence and make sure you have proper risk controls Consult a financial advisor. Jason and I are not financial advisors. We are individuals who happen to work at a company where we manage money for them and for ourselves.
So
Jason?
Looking at the POW, the 1 month looks very choppy. I hope it's not like that on the seas when you go out there deep sea fishing, I think Wednesday. But as
Wednesday, we're going a little sail fishing. We're going to be looking for those black and blue marlin and maybe some tuna.
That's going to be fun for you guys. So looking at POW, the volume today was just over 2 million. The average 3-month volume is about double that, 4 million. What I'm seeing with POW is good communication from their investment relations regarding possible acquisition of gunbroker.com. That's a good thing for us and for any potential investors. What I'm also seeing is low volume, which means the investors that are currently in the stock, they're just not selling. You're not seeing a lot of activity there, but also it's not being shorted nearly as much as it was. So that's a good thing for investors. They're expecting that some possible news could break. Nothing's guaranteed, but they are working on a deal according to them with gunbroker.com. They did raise capital in order to make that acquisition. They will have to provide probably some shares to make the transaction work. But they did give a time frame, mid to late April. So we're still on track for this acquisition. It looks good.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm a little disappointed that it's not going to be trading from kind of a higher base with the initial announcement of that. I've noticed that the mid cap and the small cap names have started to kind of underperform the market. I wonder, Jason, if you noticed the same thing.
Yeah, I have seen that a little bit. I've noticed, but you know I haven't seen a big amount of money rotation yet. Like today, for example, crypto was up decent, and most of the crypto tickers weren't following suit. I'm not exactly sure what to think about the market and where the money's rotating. Biotech sector had some decent activity today. Uranium, I'm just looking at the different sectors here. Energy was decent, green energy mainly, but it's kind of, I don't know. The market was up huge today, but I just couldn't find like opportunities. What did you look at?
Yeah, I'm seeing basically a lot of the smaller cap stocks really not having these big moves right now like they had before. Now, keep in mind the Russell 2000 was really kind of ahead of the market. It was up, I think, something like 44% earlier this year. And so it probably makes sense that there's a little bit of a rotation out. The Dow was strong, but so was the NASDAQ. I'm a little perplexed. And obviously, you're going to come up on that whole sell in May, go away concept. Mm-hmm. I still think we have a lot of risk to the economy. It's going to kind of overheat as there's so much. It's the strangest thing. I've never been part of so much stimulus. I don't know that I've ever been alive at a time when the stimulus was available to the market. So it's a pretty heavy day.
Yeah. The thing that's a little bit mind-boggling to me also is you haven't seen gold and silver react yet, based on the amount of fiat that they're printing, inflationary concerns. Like I thought we'd see more of a rise in silver and gold thus far, and we haven't seen that. So just keeping my eye on that.
Right. And it's interesting that when you look at crypto, especially Bitcoin, it really is a play on the idea or the concept that you're going to have some inflation and people are trying to use this as a store of value. And I wonder at that point, it's really, I mean, crypto's already had a really big move this year. And so some of these things have to digest these gains. I still worry that this is a blob market, even though you see sort of a wall of worry climbing to new highs. Mm-hmm. It doesn't seem super powerful to me. It seems like we're kind of treading water. Like I look at GE and there's a move there to around 13 and some change. Some of the names have bigger moves, but I'm not like overwhelmed by anything right now.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of the crypto tickers will be able to harvest good earnings. So I think it's still a good play, the sector in general, because a lot of these crypto tickers are harvesting Bitcoin, a lot of Bitcoin, and we're going to see the results of the earnings based on almost 60,000 Bitcoin, which is going to should be pretty tremendous in my opinion. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on it.
Sure. Well, you saw that there was already a report from RIOT, and obviously they beat expectations.
Yeah.
And I think people kind of felt like that was going to happen. So you see kind of it's consolidating here in the 50 to 60 range, not a lot of movement from there. We've kind of been already here. If you recall, I believe it ran up to 80 in February, right? Was it February or March?
Yeah. Yep.
So I see these things as kind of flat to me. Some people, to me, they got a little bit ahead of themselves and now they're consolidating. Jason, what else do you have on the agenda in terms of stocks we're looking at?
Well, I just wanted to point out one more thing about crypto, and that was Mara. Mara has overtaken RIOT based on the news that they're going to be forming their own pool to compete with Antpool and F2. Mara's over 56 now. It's right up there with RIOT. So, Mara was the little brother to RIOT for a little while, though. Mara's taken its stand, and it's looking real strong. I wanted to go. You talked about the small caps. I wanted to move over. You talked about GE. Let's look at Let's look at a monster here. Let's look at Boeing. I had a great day today. Nick, if you can pull that up. For any large cap stock to move like 2 to 5%, like that's a really good strong day. And Boeing did just that. It was up 2.5% today, just under $260. Like you said, Todd, the story about this stock is contingent upon it's contingent upon the opening of the economy, which looks really good. In fact, the Texas Rangers are having opening day in baseball today. And you know what? Governor Abbott said, let's just go ahead and do it. Let's go full capacity at Ranger Stadium. So you're going to see a lot of sporting events start to get more fans, which is kind of exciting. Traveling to the stadiums, people will fly in. A lot of tourism, a lot of vacations. You yourself are in Costa Rica. So, yeah, it's looking good.
It's exciting to see Texas opening up. Obviously, everyone's still concerned about COVID. One of the things I noticed is that the CEO of Virgin Voyages, which is a cruise ship, keep in mind, Virgin opened up and built a brand new cruise ship. And I believe its first sailing was supposed to be the week before or after COVID. And unfortunately, Virgin's launched its cruise business like probably at the worst time you could possibly have ever. I noticed that the Virgin Casino, which took over the Hard Rock in Vegas, they've opened up. Mm-hmm. And I'm hearing midsummer, the cruises for Virgin Voyages are going to reopen. So you see a lot of the cruise ships kind of already made their move. Jason, I don't know if you've looked at the cruise lines, but a lot of them have already made a move. That kind of reopening trade may have already happened there. I've been looking at Live Nation. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of pent-up demand for live concerts. I think this company is going to do incredibly well as demand and artists want to get out there and tour again.
Well, if you look at let's pull up. Yeah, you're right about that. Let's look at Carnival. Nick, let's see the year-to-date. We've got CCL, Carnival Corporation. Yeah, they're up almost 38% year-to-date. What else we got real quick? Let's just take a look at Royal Caribbean here, and let's just see what they have. Royal Caribbean Cruises, ticker RCL. Let's go to the year-to-date on that. And, 26% also. So, the recovery is on for sure. Let's just pull it out a little bit for the 5-year. Wow, look at that. Look at that 5-year. And look at COVID, how it took its toll. I mean, RCL was 135. And then the face diapers took place, and boom, here we go, lockdown, $34 a share. Unbelievable. So it's good to see that the steady growth is coming back, and people are starting to get vaccinated if they decide to do that. And it looks like we're getting more movement about the country and about the world, which is great.
So there's an article out about Tim Cook dropping hints about the Apple car. We've talked about this before. And he actually had some comments about Elon Musk. If you want to see that, I believe you can see it on CNBC. It's interesting because obviously Apple probably does plan on entering into this space. They won't be specific about it, which is probably frustrating for most of us to kind of handicap what their plans are. But it's interesting to see that's the case with Apple. Do you have any other stocks you want to cover?
Yeah, there was a couple more that I wanted to get to. So this one kind of ties in with, there's some news today with the infrastructure bill. Joe Manchin came out and said, I would not be able to vote for this bill as it sits because of the corporate tax rate. He's, it was 21%. Biden's proposing 27 or 28%. I believe it's 28%. And Manchin would be more comfortable around the 25% area. So basically, the infrastructure tickers like, Nick, if you could pull the screen up, WLMS. This one is an infrastructure play. One of our partners turned us onto this. We were a little bit early, but it was up today 12%. But if you look, it's been very steady here. I want to take a look at one other one here based on the infrastructure.
Hey, Jason, to make sure everyone knows that we are long about 40,000 shares of that, and we are also long Boeing, about 1,300,000 worth of Boeing now.
Yes.
As we initially bought our position for $1 million at about $213. Now Boeing topping almost $260. We are long Boeing. We are long
WLMS. Yeah, WLMS.
Yes. Sorry about that.
No problem. U.S. Steel we do not own. That made a new all-time high over 26. It's retraced back to 24.63. It'll be interesting to see what happens. A lot of people could be taking profits on the infrastructure tickers because it's kind of a sell the news thing. They might not want to risk the infrastructure bill getting passed or getting changed dramatically in order to get it passed. So we'll just keep an eye on that and keep an eye on the political front. As far as it goes, the Senate is tied at 50 Republican, 50 Democrats. And with Manchin coming out against the infrastructure bill regarding the corporate tax rate, he also said that 6 or 7 Democrats felt the same way that he does. You remember, some of these Democrats, they might be in a more moderate area of the country. And so they're going to have to work with these Democrats in these purplish areas, not red, not blue. We'll call them purple, in order to make this thing work. It's obvious that we need roads, bridges, infrastructure, schools. We need all this stuff upgraded. But they're a little concerned with the tax rate stunting the growth of the economy. So that's where we're at with that.
Hey, coming up in about 10 minutes, we're going to cover Goldman Sachs' domestic cyclical basket. They came out with a new basket. And learn what automakers have been upgraded by Wells Fargo. Now, obviously, there's not a lot of automakers to figure out, so you probably already know. Those of you who follow us, we're on KEIB 1150 AM Los Angeles and Orange County and the iHeartRadio app every Sunday at 1 p.m. You can find us on the schedule of the Patriot Network. I think we follow the new Rush Limbaugh. Who's that guy, the new Rush Limbaugh?
Dan Bongino.
Exactly. And I think we're on the same day with Dave Ramsey and Sean Hannity. But you can check it out on the Patriot Network. It's 1150 a.m. Los Angeles and Orange County. And the iHeartRadio app on the Patriot Network also 1 p.m. on Sundays Pacific time. Check it out. Jason, what do you want to cover next? We're going to get to some of the upgrades and the 10 cyclical stocks that Goldman Sachs recommends later on in the show. How much time we have left, Jason?
We've got about 30 minutes left, so we can go into whatever you want to do. I've pretty much covered what I wanted to cover as far as the stock tickers go. I know you wanted to take a look at Credit Suisse. Ticker CS. We talked about it last night. They do have earnings coming up April 22nd. I was interested in the stock for sure, but I was kind of hesitant. I wanted to see what happened with the earnings. What do you think about it?
Listen, everybody, I want to be full disclosure here. I'm not recommending it for the faint of heart, but we have taken an initial position in Credit Suisse. We took our position today. Jason would prefer that we waited a little while. This is a long-term play for me, very similar to Boeing, very similar to Costco, very similar to what we're doing with Icon Enterprises. We have initially sold some puts of Costco, the 350 puts to buy some Costco in the hole. And we bought outright Credit Suisse today at about $10.91, give or take $10.95. Credit Suisse was involved with the Wang trade and the debacle that was those swaps. They're going to lose billions of dollars, it looks like, but I see it as an opportunity to pick up a great investment bank who needs to rethink the risks they take. I think it's an opportunity to buy a great bank, and I took advantage of it. We took a small position today. We're going to continue to build on that position at Credit Suisse. We, of course, are not recommending you buy Credit Suisse or Costco, but we are recommending you consult your financial advisor and understand that Jason and I are here for entertainment purposes, and we're letting you know what we do. I do want to get to the story of what I did in Costa Rica. Now, I'm in a resort called Los Sueños. It's on the Pacific side of Costa Rica. And yesterday, my family and I decided to, on Easter, go onto a little trip to the rainforest using ATVs. Now, I'm here with my two 15-year-old twin boy and girl, and my wife, along with my sister-in-law. My sister-in-law was on an ATV. I was on, Jason, what do you call those ones? They have four wheels, they have a cage, and you can all sit in them together. You kind of drive them like a car. It's like a Honda. I don't know exactly what you call it.
They're like Polaris or Honda. Yeah, like buggies, dune buggies, stuff like that, I think.
Yeah, so we went on this trail ride, and everything went well the first time. We drove up about a 40-minute drive up a trail. It was all around. It was fun. And we got there, and then we had to do about a 1,500-foot walk up to a waterfall, swam in the waterfall, got back out of the waterfall. I almost killed myself 3 or 4 times by walking on rocks.
Jeez. As
many of you know, and as Josh knows, I'm a little bit overweight, and therefore I'm kind of top-heavy, and probably almost killed myself a couple times. So I'm still here. However, on the way back, my sister-in-law, driving the ATV, did a great job on the way up. On the way back, she's following the guide. He kind of took a little path around some mud. She hit a lip and flipped the vehicle over, launching her to the right. So if you're going down a trail,
Jesus.
the left tire hit the lip, and the back end flipped her up like a spring, and she launched about probably 15 feet, landing on her elbows, and thank God she had a helmet on. Of course, my wife, which is her sister, was a little bit of a panic because she was laying on the ground for just a minute. Now, this is a very rocky trail, but luckily at this point of the trail, she was in some mud. And so she landed in some soft dirt. And believe it or not, she got right back up and probably was surprised that she hadn't broken a bone. She did hit her head, but of course she had a helmet on. And the instructor, the driver, was way up there. And we're sitting there with the thing flipped over. I'm still in the car. My wife gets out to go check on her. I thought she was going to be fine. I was trying to be positive. Sure enough, she was fine. But it's a scary moment when you're in Costa Rica. You're in a Central American country in the middle of the rainforest, and someone gets thrown off an ATV, which I consider to be some of the most dangerous machines around, especially if you put your feet on the ground, you're going to run them over. But she was okay. Skyla, your mom, was fine, I'm sure. I wonder, Skyla, did you know about the story?
I did not.
Wow.
You know now your mom was launched, and it was very scary for about a 30-second when she was laying there and we were running towards her, making sure, your aunt was running towards her to make sure that she was okay. Obviously, she got right back up and she's okay. Even the next day, she only has a scratch on her elbow and a little bit of a pain in her hip, but she did good. I thought Joe would have told you. I told Joe last night.
I heard
Anyways, that's the.
Flipped too.
You heard who flipped?
Asia slipped too.
No, Asia kind of fell down a mountainy trail, but she caught herself, so she did great. And so did your mom. It was a good time. And even though that part was scary, I recommend if you come to Los Sueños, you do the rainforest tour. It was a great time. It's a great place to bring your family. Very inexpensive down here in Costa Rica, and a lot of very nice people. Anyways, Jason,
nice.
That's my story of almost flipping well, she did flip it, actually. There's not an almost. She did flip it for sure.
I mean, I don't know. They have the concussion protocol down there, like football. That's scary.
She asked the same thing.
Jeez.
Hey, Jason, what do you think the top 10 stocks Goldman Sachs is recommending for their domestic cyclical basket?
Is that an ETF?
No, it's just a basket they recommend that you buy for your portfolio.
Wow. Will they have Google in there?
No, let me give you the top 10. You ready? These are the cyclical 10s. take a look at the list here. It's a pretty interesting list. Number 1 on the list with an 11.3% rating, Berkshire Hathaway.
Yeah.
Number 2 on the list with a 10.4% rating. Could you guess who it is, Jason?
No.
JP Morgan.
Ah.
Number 3 on the list with a 6.3% rating in the total portfolio, Bank of America. Number 4 on the list with a 3.6% weighting, Wells Fargo.
All
Getting
banks.
the theme here, Jason?
Yeah, I'm hearing it.
Yeah, number 5 on the list with a 3.4% rating, Citicorp.
Jeez.
Number 6 on the list with a 3.2% rating, Union Pacific.
Oh.
There we got some divergence to the rail stocks.
Yeah.
Number 6 on the list is either 6. Yeah, 6. Or is it 7? I think it's 7. Morgan Stanley, 2.8%. Number 8 on the list with a 2.7% rating, United Parcel Service, your old job,
nice.
Manager.
Good one.
Nice.
Yeah.
Number 9 on the list with a 2.3% rating, BlackRock.
Oh, yeah, monster.
And number 10, and I haven't seen this on the list for a while, with 2.2%, Charles Schwab.
Wow, a lot of financials there. BlackRock's a monster. They're buying up properties on the Vegas Strip and leasing them back to MGM. It's like they bought Bellagio.
They effectively are saying to you, did BlackRock or Blackstone buy
I'm sorry.
Bellagio?
Yeah, it was Blackstone. You're right. Absolutely.
Yeah, Blackstone is the private equity firm. BlackRock is the asset manager. But listen, at one time they broke off from each other. So what does it matter, right? I believe that's the story.
That's right.
I thought that was interesting. I want to get to the recommendation from Wells Fargo to get long, and they are believers in Ford and GM, and they've overrated Ford and GM.
I'm looking at Ford right now, actually.
I know you've been looking at them, Ford and GM. I wonder how late of a cycle we are in, where we are in the cycle when it comes to Goldman Sachs recommending all those bank stocks.
I think they're a little bit late. I mean, great. You know, they got us I think we're mid. I think we're at middle of the cycle, to be honest. Maybe 70%. Right. I mean, man, I can't believe the housing market. It's just, I mean, on a local level, on a regional level, North American level. I have information daily regarding even the Canadian housing market. It's absolutely bonkers. Todd, you know firsthand what's going on here locally in the housing market. But I just see that, I mean, it's just...
Yeah, the housing market in Vegas is really heating up, obviously. I recently bought a house here, and I paid, let's say, I think I paid around close to $1.8 million. And someone told me as soon as the week after I bought it that those houses are trading for about $2.1 million, about $300,000 higher than what I paid. Of course, I'm not a seller, but and I don't know that to be absolutely true, but it appears to me that I know that Crypto Joe bought, and it is impossible to find houses that are lasting in his price range, which, by the way, is an incredible house. Crypto Joe bought an amazing house. For the price he paid, I was really blown away by the house. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a large house, something in California that would probably cost him $1.5 million. And I believe he was paying in the $650,000 range, maybe a little less. I don't know for sure. And it is an amazing house with a pool and a yard and quite some square footage. And it's beautiful and it's relatively new. And there's a pretty aggressive market in Vegas, in Nevada area for those homes. And I know that it doesn't seem to be easing up in terms of availability for housing.
Yeah, and you know, for the U.S. mortgage rates have increased for 7 straight weeks now. That's per, looks like Brown Harris Stevens, real estate CEO, is talking about it here on Fox Business. So it's not slowing anyone down, though. Historically, the mortgage rates are still super low. I would think that home builders new home construction have been doing real well. You know, I'm going to do a little bit of research on some of these builders like KB and D.R. Horton, Toll Brothers. I mean, I think because the rates are so low, the only thing that's holding the home builders back from really good margins are costs of like lumber and stuff. I mean, I know the commodities costs have been up, but I still
lumber's doubled in price in the
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah, which is probably the only thing holding back their really having great years, because I mean, they've built in a lot of value in these homes, but with the mortgage rates low, the home builders have increased the cost of the homes too, because let's face it, a lot of people that are buying homes are just payment shoppers. They don't look at the total cost of money. They don't look at the amortization schedules. I mean, they're just payment shoppers. I mean, what can you get me into this house for on a monthly basis? And it's the same thing with the auto industry. So I think this overall, generally speaking, the citizenry of the United States is just more concerned about their monthly budget and fitting into their monthly budget, whereas some of the upper echelon buyers, some of the people that might pay more cash or might be able to get smaller terms on financing, 10 or 15-year fixed, they're more concerned about, the total cost of money. So it's just something to consider.
Hey, Caesar, I see Caesar on the comments talking about Ethereum. And am I back yet? Hey, I apologize there. I see Caesar in the comments talking about Ethereum. And yes, it's true with the NFTs. The Ethereums are supported on that Ethereum blockchain, those non-fungible tokens. And you do have to pay for gas or ether every time you use it. And that obviously is a clear outcome and a use case for the network. But I know enough to be dangerous about that, Caesar. So that's something that we're going to have Crypto Joe cover on one of the shows, maybe even later this week. We're talking about how Crypto Joe possibly on Wednesday to cover some of the crypto stocks, and not crypto stocks, crypto and cryptocurrencies and the use case for each one of them. So we'll let you know. Jason will let you know for sure if I'm not if I update you or Jason, one of us will update you on what day Crypto Joe will be on the show talking about cryptocurrency and things we're covering there. Jason, what time do we have to get to baseball and Risk on Sports?
We got 18 minutes. Let's cover a couple of current events, a couple of things that happened recently with Amazon. They came out and illegally fired employees critical of work conditions. I didn't make that determination. The NLRB did, the National Labor Relations Board. And I just wanted to touch on this a little bit because the two employees were fired who they advocated for just better working conditions. The investigation was done by the NLRB. Mark Perrone, international president of the UFCW union, whose local unit helped file the charges, said, quote, "Today's a reminder that Amazon will break the law to silence its own workers who speak out," end quote. I find this interesting because Alabama is on the cusp of releasing their data regarding the union vote to unionize employees. And I think this is kind of interesting because of my background where I was managing at UPS, and I had to work with union employees often, shop stewards often, union representatives. So it looks like Amazon is being held accountable here for what the NLRB found as unnecessary terminations of employees. And the unions do, in fact, protect employees from this type of behavior. But there are other negatives with unions as well. It also protects weaker employees, people that are deemed soft or that are, have a lot of problems with attendance, doing work efficiently. So it's kind of a battle here between, non-union and union, right to work, stuff like that. What are your thoughts on that?
I think you're a target if you're Amazon, and if you don't mind your P's and Q's, you're going to basically be unionized. The bigger the company gets, the more they're going to be a target. And you looked at this happened to Walmart. They fought against it pretty hard. Amazon has to be proactive, or they're going to get unionized in certain states, especially if these stories persist about the way their workers are being treated. However, listen, my for full disclosure, I have a relative that worked for Amazon, and she's as happy as she's ever been working for a company like them. So, I'm going to stay out of that fight. Not a lot of commenting there, but I would say to you that listen, that Amazon's been good for a lot of people, made a lot of people a lot of money. I know the employees that I know there are pretty happy, and they've become very successful. But Jeff is a target.
Yeah,
he's the richest man. He's the richest man in the world. He controls and he dominates. Listen, when you put a lot of people out of business, you're going to make a lot of enemies. So any chance people got a chance to take a shot at him, they're going to. I mean, I'm all too familiar with haters.
Yeah.
And Jeff, you got a lot of lovers and you got a lot of haters. I happen to be a lover. I'm a big fan of yours, even though Jeff put me out of business when he turned off our business. I'm actually going to say the words because I think they're not allowed on YouTube. However, we sold a product on Amazon that they one day decided you couldn't sell anymore. You get shut down quickly. We had the privilege of getting a lot of orders from Amazon, and we had the privilege of being turned off too.
Yeah, it's interesting. And you draw this correlation, like you said, he's the richest man in the world. Well, Elon is right there. Sometimes he's ahead, sometimes he's behind. And the United Auto Workers in the auto industry has had a substantial unionization. Do you think they could possibly come after Tesla next?
I do believe they will come after Tesla. There is some rumblings about what's happening up there. There's some rumblings happening up there about him being told to take down a tweet about the union. I don't exactly understand the story, but over time, they probably will come after them. He's been pretty smart. He's been moving some of his production. I think he's going to be moving some of the Gigafactory production to Austin, if I recall. Mm-hmm. And I think the California plant ultimately probably is doomed. I don't mean to be a naysayer. I know that people reacted to when I said, effectively all the hemp stocks / marijuana stocks would go to zero and there'd be 3 or 4 players. I see the Tesla plant in California is dead man walking. I don't think it survives. I think California will do themselves in. They'll regulate him out to, listen, he doesn't want to disrupt production. So he's in a conundrum.
Yeah.
But he's not going to expand that plant, in my opinion. And that plant ultimately goes away as he moves into other states that are more friendly to him. Now, that'll be something that he figures out. I'm sure he seems to be I don't think Elon forgets much. And so I can't imagine that he's happy with the plant in California. I know he probably loves all the people that work there with him. I know he's very loyal in that way. But to the state of California and how they treated Elon, I can't imagine that he is not looking for a way to move that production elsewhere.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I thought he would maybe slide a plant over to the Lake Tahoe, Reno, the industrial park over there. I don't know if he's over there yet. I know a lot of people are. A lot of corporations have moved over there.
Well, I know his. Well, just be clear, his Gigafactory is there. The first one in Reno is there. It's very successful. That's right. Yeah, that's been a very successful project for him.
Yeah.
Now he's in Austin. I'm talking about actual car production.
Yeah.
California is the biggest. Listen, the only caveat to what I'm saying is California is one of the biggest buyers of Tesla.
Right.
So that's a catch-22 for him. I'm sure it's a political tightrope he's wondering, but secretly, I'm sure he wishes he wasn't there.
We got about 2 minutes left before the last segment, which I want to dedicate to baseball. I can tell you one thing. I want to cover this. One place that Elon's not going to move, and that's going to be New York. Nick, can you just pull up the screen here? So New York lawmakers near budget deal to raise income and corporate taxes by $4.3 billion. It looks like New York City would be the highest combined local tax rate in the country. I just wanted to touch on this because at a time where a lot of these, Nick, you can take that down. In a time where a lot of people are looking to leave these high tax states, and they usually are blue states. It's just the way it is. New York's doubling down. Governor Cuomo doubling down. De Blasio doubling down. You yourself coming from California, fleeing the high tax state. What are your thoughts on this move by New York City proper?
Yeah, I just don't see if you look at study of history and you look at what happened in England, listen, it happened in Rome. I'm going to go way back, right? All these financial centers eventually implode on themselves, right? And as a matter of history and the way things evolve, you can see the financial center of the universe shifting to Asia, right? Hong Kong, Singapore, Taiwan, the Chinese, which are still growing at a rapid rate. And you see what's happening with New York. They effectively are trying. Listen, COVID has been a disaster for New York City. I mean, I was just there recently. I mean, it's just a disaster. In my opinion, wonderful restaurants out of business, family businesses hurt. I don't want to comment on the political side. It's just a disaster, right?
Yep.
They more and more they bombard that state with taxes. The more a person starts to think, I can work virtually, I can work in a different state, and they can migrate to a different place. And so there's just nothing that justifies New York City being so unfriendly other than them not wanting people. And eventually people will feel unwanted and they'll be, listen, some people could argue that New York continues to come back from it, but there's only so much a person can take in terms of taxation. I just don't know when that limit's going to reach. Me, on the other hand, moving out of California, it was a choice. It was more than a choice for taxes. It was a choice for lifestyle. For example, Crypto Joe lived around 35 minutes from the office. Sometimes it would take him an hour to get to work. He was in a conundrum where he was highly taxed along with other employees. And it was just a function of a lifestyle choice to move to Nevada, along with taxation, along with wider roads and a little bit more freedoms and a little bit more concern for self-protection, the homeless population. I could go on and on about California. I love it.
Yeah.
All four of my kids were born in either Newport Beach or Santa Monica. I love California. I just don't love the way that they're running the state. And so there's only so much you could take before I personally thought the economics, the privilege of paying a couple $100,000 in taxes or whatever it was, call it $125,000 in taxes or more for the privilege of living in California didn't make any sense.
Yeah, and that's my belief as well. And we're just gonna. I would never live in a state that has state income tax. There's plenty of choices that do not have state income tax. Florida, Nevada, Tennessee, Texas. So yeah, plenty of choices there. And freedom kind of runs with those choices with those states. But anyhow, I just wanted to get your take on that. You want to talk some baseball?
So I do want to set the stage. For those of you who understand the word risk on, it's a Wall Street word. What's risk on mean? It means that you take risk. It means that you put your money where your mouth is. You have a specific plan to take advantage of a market or opportunity. Risk off means you're not taking risk. You're not taking an opportunity. And my whole life, I'm 51 years old. From the time I was 11 years old to now, I've had risk on opportunities, which have been wonderful. And I've had risk on opportunities that have been terrible. And my goal with this program is to help people with how I take risk on and to educate the population about the kind of risk I've taken. I had no father till I was 13, adopted by my father, grew up with a mother who worked, a single mother, was making $900 a month. I lived in HUD housing. I had to put myself through school. There's a bunch about my story. We don't have to get into that. But Jason, who's someone I really like and care about, grew up similar, very low economic situation. Let's get to the point. We're poor.
Yeah.
And we have our own version of risk on, and one of those is risk on sports. You see a lot of people. Sorry about that. I hope I'm back.
No, you're here.
Am I back, Jason?
Yeah, you're here.
Yeah. So you see a lot of people who sell sports consulting, and they talk about these big bets and these.
You're good.
I have my phone on Do Not Disturb. I don't know why people are. It still seems to be able to call through, even when I have it on Do Not Disturb. Weird. So sorry about that, everyone. So one of the things I liked and learned about Jason was, and he started a bankroll with $1,200, and we're going to start a program called Risk on Sports, which shows how Jason, who's a former professional baseball player, how he bets baseball. These are one of the many reasons I moved into Nevada, because I love the idea of taking risks that's calculated. And Jason, you're already up and doing well. I think you're up about on a $1,200 bankroll. You're up around, I don't know, 80, 90%. But let's not get into that part of it. We're going to start covering baseball. This is a topic we both like.
Yep.
I played baseball as a kid. I wasn't as good as Jason, but I love baseball, and this is the topic we get to spend 6 months on a year. Jason, why don't we talk about what we did over the weekend since opening day on April 1st? We're in the game.
Yeah, so here's how it went down. I had about $1,200 in my pocket. April 1st, I was studying the lines on different sports books here in Vegas, comparing them to offshore. So looking for the best lines is very important, especially in baseball. But what we did was opening day, we made some bets, and we proceeded to make bets throughout the weekend. And because there's so much excitement, we did make quite a few bets. This isn't normally what I would do. I would normally make 1 to 4 picks a day. However, we ended up making, as of last night, we've made 23 bets in the 4 days of baseball. And we went 13-10. We took a tough one last night. And we made $900 with the bankroll starting at $1,200. So we just added that $900 right to the bankroll. We have $2,100 in the bankroll, and we're just going to make $100, we'll call it $100 bets. We're just going to flat bet, and we're going to continue to make these plays, and we're going to track them, and we're just going to offer an opportunity for you guys to follow these plays. It's pretty exciting. Baseball is every day, and so that was what we've decided to do.
And one of the things we're going to do a little differently is we keep all the tickets. We're going to be fully transparent. We're going to audit it every single month. You're going to get an audited report. You're going to be able to see what we did in the backup for everything we spent. So you can understand how we're making money in baseball.
Yeah, it's very fun. Also, what's great
By the way, Jason, I want to emphasize that you don't have to do something foolish like betting around from not what your wife doesn't know. Stupid things people do in baseball or in betting in general.
Right.
This is something where you're going to be able to participate on even a small scale, as little as $500, as little as $1,000, $1,200.
Right.
Pardon me. You don't have to be foolish. I mean, Jason's obviously proving you can supplement, but just watch and see what happens here. This is an interesting dynamic and something I'm pretty fond of that Jason and I are doing. We see it as people, we want to be very transparent here on Risk On. So this is going to be a transparent opportunity for all of you to participate and watch what we're doing. And if you don't love baseball like we do, hey, you don't have to participate.
Yeah, exactly. Like, for example, we have some plays, our personal plays tonight. We took an underdog today, and the game, we got slaughtered. It's Twins-Tigers. We're on the Tigers today. We're getting plus 140, which we bet 100 to win 140, so they're a decent underdog. But the pitcher just got slaughtered right out of the gate. It's 15-1 Twins, so we'll light that $100 on fire. But you got to have a short-term memory here. You got to forget about that stuff. You got to keep doing the homework, investing time into your craft. So we're looking at the Cubs for tonight. They're at minus 112. We also have the
we are getting slaughtered on that deal.
Yeah.
15-1.
There's no sweat there.
Smokes.
So a lot of times when you take the underdogs, sometimes that's gonna happen. You're gonna look like the zero and not the hero. But we're gonna fight back. We've got the Cubs. We got the Cubs minus 112 against the Brewers. We've got the under 9.5 runs in the Red Sox Rays game. That's going to start at 7:10 Eastern. And the other pick we have is a 2-team parlay. It's the Mets and the Yankees. We want those 2 teams to win, and that will pay. That's a $100 ticket that'll pay $120. I like to take those 2 in a parlay because the odds aren't good to take them individually. Sometimes we'll do that, but oftentimes we're going to take underdogs and we're going to leverage our initial investment of $100 and try to get plus money. So, Todd, we got about 25 seconds left. You want to wrap it up?
25 seconds?
Yeah, sorry.
Wow, the show's almost over.
Yeah, we need to work on it.
Hey, it's the 5th of April. We appreciate you guys tuning in. I know the show's a little strange with me being in Costa Rica. We're just getting started with Risk on Sports. We're getting started with what we're doing and covering individual stocks. We appreciate your time and you tuning in. Skyla and Josh, hope everything's well with you guys back in the States. Nick and Brett, hope all's well. What do we got? How much time we got left here?
That's it.
Hey, we appreciate everyone. We'll see you tomorrow. You guys take care. We'll be updating you on the times of the show on Wednesday and Thursday. They may be a little later. We'll let you know tomorrow. Take care.